Money transcends mere numbers. It carries with it a tapestry of stories, emotions, and inherited beliefs, lessons we learn from our families even before we earn a single dime. Our interactions with money are deeply influenced by our upbringing, the economic contexts we experience, and the financial principles that are passed down through generations. These factors play a crucial role in shaping our perspectives on saving money that often linger with us well into adulthood. So, what are saving habits? It's totally a matter of generational flair. And let's be real, we've all heard some wild assumptions floating around about how each generation spends and saves. It's a money mosaic, full of diverse attitudes and colorful quirks. Gen Z, however, takes the Oscar. They have been revealed as the most saving savvy generation until now. Hello, everyone. I am Goldie, your host for today.
And I'm Lakshan, your co host, and you are listening to episode 26 of Mind the Gen Gap podcast.
Today, I will break down the episode in three parts. Firstly, we will take an overview of what reputation other generations have on saving, and I will share some data as well. In part two, we will understand the strategy Gen Z are using to save and how this makes them the saving savvy of all cohorts. In part three, we will understand their financial anxiety, which is actually slightly nuanced to what you may assume. Before I tell you how money saving is done, you can help us by subscribing to this podcast, sharing it with your community, and of course, commenting or leaving us a 5-star review. Let's begin. Part 1, Saving Habits. Baby boomers, often referred to as the wealthiest generation, they've enjoyed, perks like free education, high salaries, stable investment opportunities, and inheritances. What a time to be in, huh? While boomers are typically good savers, it's less about necessity and more about capability. Growing up in the post-World War II era likely instilled in them a frugal mindset, influenced by parents who experienced rationing during the war. With substantial retirement savings, baby boomers are estimated to have saved at least twice as much as younger generations. So they are rich. However, they also indulge in a more luxurious lifestyle, understandably. For instance, research does show that boomers spend about 3 times more than younger folks on holiday accommodations. Next, we have Gen X. Those born between 1965 and 1979. While they faced more financial challenges than boomers before them, that hasn't dampened their spending habits. I'm one, and I allude completely to this. On average, a Gen X household spends $159 each week on just lifestyle products, outpacing any other generation. Additionally, many in this generation find themselves juggling their finances because they have to split their savings between caring for aging parents and supporting their boomerang children who seem to be coming back and return to live at home in their mid-20s. We've covered this in a previous episode. Remember, Lakshan? And one more thing that stands out about them. With rising healthcare expenses, they are increasingly aware of the need to save for medical costs, making this a priority in their financial planning. Moving on to millennials, or as we call them, the avocado enthusiasts, often seen as the spendthrifts of their generation. I have someone smiling here because he's a millennial. While it's true, yes, it's true that many enjoy a delightful brunch, they're actually quite savvy with their finances too, skillfully navigating the challenges that they face. The oldest segment of this generation experienced the 2008 financial crisis, while younger millennials grappled with skyrocketing tuition fees and a tough job market. Their struggle is real. On average, millennials allocate around 40% of their incomes to housing and utilities, and a staggering 7.8 million report that they lack any savings or investments for their future. According to The Guardian, 7 out of 10 millennials regularly set money aside with an average monthly saving of $220, demonstrating that they're not as financially irresponsible as some may believe. This is also the generation that favors budgeting apps, and they will engage in side hustles like freelance work to supplement their income. I personally very much remember working with a photographer once, Lakshan, who was actually a business consultant and a coach. And then it was fascinating to see the multiple hats that she wore being my photographer. So, as we can see, Lakshan, there is a variety of traits that we are noticing here for generations as they take control of their money. And one main thing that seems very clear to me is this inheritance of practices that we take on from our parents when it comes to saving our pennies. I remember being introduced to the piggy bank. This was essentially a ceramic shaped pig, pink pig, in my days. And I was told to put any spare change in that, and we would empty it once a year. Today, I have taught my kids similarly to save their part of their pocket money or their monetary gifts that they may receive. Do you have a money saving story that has stayed with you from your youth?
I don't know about a money saving story per se, but I can share a few instances that are coming up for me as I'm hearing you share all this with respect to the approaches to saving that each generation has, right? So, and also it's very, very true that we inherit a lot of these practices from our parents. My mom is extremely resourceful in how she goes about managing her money. She would very frequently complain to my dad that over the course of say a good say 10 years, let's say, the amount of money that dad gave her for the whole household expenses, part of uh, the distribution of money, it
Mm-hmm.
has not changed. It had not changed in about 10 years, while his income increased and the prices of all the goods also increased. So still she found a way to manage all the money, and she also was able to set aside little bit of money every month over
Mm,
years to buy, like, small plots of land, which is something we only found
ah,
out much later when we were in some financially difficult times. So that is something that of course I pick up from my mom.
mm,
And similar to what I heard you mention about the piggy bank, right? So we had a similar concept. Not, I mean, we wouldn't break the ceramic pig and watch it burst and pick up all the pennies and coins and whatever 10 rupee cash or whatever it is. Something similar we had, except we didn't have to break it. We could just pull the lid off
pull
and
the plug.
pick up what we yeah, and pick up whatever we wanted. There's a bunch of coins. I think it's still there, Goldie. It's just that there seems to be no utility for coins anymore. At least here in India, uh,
Okay.
what we maximum we have is like 10 rupee coins, and that also it's not like super prevalent. So I've not seen a coin in a while actually, but I've not seen that box either for a
Mm,
while. But again, there's no story that's coming up for me per se. One other instance that's coming up for me is that, so at least in India, the concept of pocket money or an allowance isn't very popular. I'm sure you know that.
yeah.
Maybe it's gotten popular over the last say few years as more and more younger Gen X and millennial parents have emerged. But until then, it wasn't a very prevalent concept, and we would have to work to earn our money. So we would do that. Say 20 rupees to sweep the floor, or mop the floor or clean the house or whatever it is. So we'd be made to do certain chores at home. We'd be given
Mm,
some kind of money, and we used to take the money, go buy whatever we want in the supermarket, or take it to the school canteen for ice cream or whatever it is. And most of the time, I would not spend that money. I just knew it was there for me. When we get like money for festivals from our elders,
mm,
I would give it to my mom because I know she's the most saving savvy person in the house. So I'd give the money to her and say, hey, you keep it. Not that I don't trust myself in terms of spending it, because I know I won't spend it because I picked up that mindset from mom. But I was scared I would lose it, so I would just give it to her and say, hey, keep it with yourself. I don't trust my. I don't think I'm very responsible with making sure that money stays in one place where it's meant to. So these are some things that are coming up for me as I reflect over my money saving stories from my youth.
Yeah. It's interesting that up until even you growing up, saving equates to actually, keeping some cash somewhere safe. In this case, whether it's your mum, or in my case, the piggy bank, or I think I resonate with what your mum is, the saving queen. My mum is also, recognized for this at home. And yes, we've inherited those values in many sort of ways. But this comes to me coming, walking into part two, because Gen Z is more than just inheriting money values. Why is that? So for them, the relationship with money isn't just shaped by inherited family values, it's also influenced by an incessant influx of information. We've covered this in a previous episode, haven't we? They're the most financially educated cohort that is currently on the planet. So the digital age provides them with immediate access to a wealth of financial content, from Instagram reels to, that may be more simple to understand, and even concepts to YouTube tutorials on effective budgeting techniques. This blend of sources enables them to gather diverse insights. Consequently, Gen Z has therefore cultivated a hybrid financial identity that harmonizes their upbringing with contemporary digital influences. Okay, this evolving perspective has transformed their strategies on finance, resulting in distinct philosophies regarding earning, saving, and spending, and fostering a lot more interactive relationship with their finances. I'll explain. There's a few differences that set them apart, and perhaps the recipe to their successful saving strategies come from here. Gen Z is earning differently, and this is changing the game when it comes to financial security. Unlike earlier generations who typically relied on one steady job, this generation gets that real security coming from diversifying their income. For them, wealth isn't just about a traditional 9 to 5. They're all about creating multiple income streams, whether it's freelancing, side hustles, digital content creation, stock trading, even, or launching their own businesses, even as young as 15, 16 years of age. A friend of my son's began a business where he decided to design sweatshirts, hoodies, and within a couple of years, he's online. And obviously, we know how easy it is to sell online these days. You just set up a portal, have a quick website done, and there you go. And with the right social media strategy, he's I think he's now 20, and he's successfully running a hoodie business. So, they are pivoting, aren't they? They're pivoting, adapting to the uncertainties of this economic landscape that we find ourselves in with a sense of confidence, not placing all their eggs in one basket. The Gen Z is literally flipping the script on spending as well. We've just covered earning. Now we're going to talk about spending. While previous generations viewed it as, purely a functional activity, Gen Z sees every purchase as a chance for self-expression and personal growth. So gone are the days of just distinguishing needs from wants. For Gen Z, every transaction is an opportunity to showcase their evolving tastes, values, and experience that defines who they are. I want to give a really relatable example because it comes from my daughter. She isn't earning yet, but the way she thinks about purchasing choices is fascinating. So she buys clothes from an online platform that sells high quality secondhand clothing at very reasonable prices. Okay, so she's buying designer wear at a cutoff of 80 to 90% discount rates. This site, wait for it, it also allows users to sell their own clothes and accessories. When she shops, she sends and receives packages, purchasing her clothes and using the credits that she earns from selling her own items.
Oh, nice.
Okay? I mean, if that's not smart, I don't know what is. Smart spending, smart earning. She's doing it two in one. And of course, it's a sustainable way of choosing clothes. She's taking a sight from away from fast fashion, which is what we've done for the longest time, right? So, what I'm trying to say is she's choosing a thrifted jacket over fast fashion. That's not just a money saving move. It's a conscious choice driven by ethics and sustainability. That's the mindset the Gen Z has on spending. So for them, true wealth comes from experiences that enrich and add value to their lives with knowledge and growth. This philosophy has led to the rise of a concept called wealthy with experiences, where success is measured not by what you own, but by the memories you create and the lives you touch. So far, I am loving their philosophy. But what really threw me off, Lakshan, was their attitude on saving. Okay, so for previous generations, cash was king, a symbol of security that meant a healthy bank balance or solid savings that could weather, any economic storm. In us uncertain times, cash provided reassurance when credit was tight and investment opportunities were scarce. Keeping cash on hand was all about preparing for that unexpected safeguarding that you wanted to have. Do you see cash as king, Lakshan, or do you have thoughts about this?
So when I compare this whole cash is king strategy to like credit based transactions, let's call them,
Yeah.
I am way more on the cash side than the credit side, simply because I mean, when I say cash, I don't mean like physical hard cash because, I mean, that's not the time we live in where we need to have physical hard cash, right? Everything is digital now, and especially, of course, in India, the UPI system exists, and it's the same thing in Europe as well, right? At least in Spain, I
Yeah.
presume. We spoke about this. I
Mm.
forget the term. What was it called? Yeah,
Bizum.
that's the one. So I mean, I think we spoke about this when you came to Mumbai this time, right? So,
Yes, we
yeah.
did. Yeah.
So I am very much Google Pay, UPI kind of a guy. Uh, Cash is king, but not physical cash. But having money that is yours, that you own, to bail you
Yeah.
out or for like everyday tasks,
Mm.
I'm very much a fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of credit cards,
Mm.
simply because again, growing up, what I witnessed,
Yeah.
I inherited certain principles from my dad, which is having seen him fall into the EMI trap, right?
Yeah.
So he's very particular that myself and my brother don't get sucked into that. Very
Mm.
particular. That's also one of the reasons why, as soon as we started earning, he had us speak to like a financial advisor or something, like some kind of guidance, because he is like, I did not get this when I was younger.
Yeah.
I want it for you guys. So because of that credit card, and I don't really have a relationship. My brother very recently picked one up. It was early this year only.
Mm.
He'd been eyeing one for a while, not because he cares about the whole credit aspect of it. For him, it's like he understands the perks that he can get with credit cards. So he will,
Absolutely.
yeah, he'll make say payments for like say food or whatever, and
Yeah.
immediately he'll transfer the money to the card so that there's no what do you call it, like fee or anything of that kind, right? He only
Yeah.
wants the perks. He does not want the any kind of issues that come with credit cards, that I think a lot of people fall into, the debt
Yeah.
aspect of it, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a credit card kind of guy. I'm looking to get one, not anytime soon. I'm very much a cash is king kind of guy, but not hard cash. I mean like phone based cash. In fact, one thing I'll
Yeah.
tell you, Goldie, this is something that happened with someone you know, not very well, but you know of this person. I won't take his name.
Mm.
Uh, like it was myself, dad, and this person. We went out to get ice cream from Corner House, which is where I had taken you when you had come to Bangalore.
Yeah.
And so I went to pay, and he was like, "I cannot leave my house without my wallet."
Mm.
The idea of leaving the house without the wallet for say boomers, Gen X, even older millennials, I think it's something that's unfathomable. But I
Yeah.
don't think that's the same for like Gen Z and like younger millennials, because for us it's like we take our keys, we take our phone, we're good to go. We don't need the wallet per se, right? But that's something that is so foreign to the older
Mm.
folk, because they're so used to having their wallet on their hands all the time, because again cash is king for them. Not really the same way for me or for like my cohort of people, but yeah, that's what I would say.
I'm hearing a hybrid sense of what money means to you. So when you say not hard cash, but more, let's call it invisible cash, but you know it's there, which is the equivalent of, say, a debit card, because you know how much you can pay because
Yes, yeah,
that's
yeah.
sitting in your account. A credit card is quite different, right? Where you're able to spend. Perhaps you don't even have the money at the moment, but the bank gives you the ability to spend till a certain date. And then you have another date whereby you have to give back that money. So that is the danger or the traps that your father is kind of warning you of. And I remember growing up in a very similar fashion. However, when you spoke about your brother, I understood this concept of there are certain cards that give you perks associated to it, as long as you make one transaction a year, which is literally as much as it takes, because I'm familiar with that concept myself. And I think Gen Z have this very savvy ability to cash in on the card concept, and try and get whatever comes as a peripheral value from it. So you get the card because you're going to use the points that get accumulated and then transfer them to air miles, for instance. This is a very big thing that's done in the
Yes.
US. And again, I have a family member who travels on points, and they do such amazing, incredible trips around the world for peanuts because they accumulate their points on this credit card system, you know. And that's just like a layer of what the hybrid mentality is between, I think, millennials coming on to Gen Z. And I'm seeing a lot of perhaps what you are passing on to the future Gen Z, the youngest ones, as their inherited values from you. But coming back to what they consider as saving. So for Gen Z, making wealth is like an ongoing active process. A little bit like what your brother does. He gets this credit card, he pays for one or two things, and then he's generating wealth by getting the perks that are coming to him. So they see cash as literally just sitting there idle and unproductive. Like hard cash, they see it like that. They don't see it as a safety net anymore, which is perhaps what you and I still consider. While they may not have, full confidence in their investing skills or grasp the complexities of the financial markets, they definitely understand that just holding on to cash doesn't cut it, especially with, say, inflation on the rise. So wealth isn't about what's parked in savings accounts for them. It's about uh making that money work to create more, which is why I said it's an active process. So according to research conducted by Zopa, 1 in 3 members of Gen Z already boasts saving exceeding, wait for it, 1,000 US dollars. Impressively, they are also the generation likely to carry any debt, including overdrafts or loans from family and friends, the least likely to carry overdrafts and loans. What do you notice here, Lakshan? I know that you've said your views are somewhat different to your parents, but you also carry a little bit of what's been passed down to you. I want to make a statement because I think I can confidently say that after Gen Z, millennials are closely behind as the most savvy saving generation. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on millennials being,
Mm.
the next most savvy generation after Gen Z. But what is quite surprising to me is that Gen Z are considered to be I mean, not considered, like there's research that says
Yeah.
that the generation that's least likely to carry any debt, which is something that surprises me simply because I think we covered in one of our first episodes on money, right, the psychology of money, about how there are all these uh, buy now pay later based schemes that are
Mm.
being rolled out, where there is an added incentive,
Yeah.
and it's becoming more popularized to pay with money that you don't have. So the fact that this generation is the least likely to carry any debt, it is pleasantly surprising for me. That's something I want to say
Yeah.
first. And yeah, in terms of certain things that you mentioned earlier about Gen Z, the way they go about making wealth with respect to, say, side gigs and freelancing and all this stuff, I can take my own brother's example. Currently, right now, as we're speaking, I think literally as we're speaking, if I'm not wrong, he's been given this freelance project to build a website for a client based in Dubai. So he's being paid by the hour, and he's been working on this project for about, I think, 10 days now. So he does his 9 to 5, or the equivalent of that he has in his company. And once he's done with the his day job, let's call it, evenings he spends about, say, 2 3 hours every single day to help build this website project. And he's a UI UX designer, which again is not the most, it's a more, say, modern career path than what's traditionally considered to be a career path, right? So I can see it in his case itself, right? He has his 9 to 5, and he has this freelancing gig that he's getting. And also, whenever we need any graphic design work done for us, whenever we need it before, now he's charging a bomb for us. Okay, it's difficult to work with him nowadays. But back when he wasn't charging a bomb, uh, we would get him to do certain graphic design work for us, for our company, and we pay him like X amount of rupees. So yeah, that freelance gene, let's call it, I
Yeah.
think is very much there in Gen Z. So that's something that I'm noticing in terms of money, making money, wealth, with respect to Gen Z.
I think when we did our previous episode on the psychology of money, and we did speak extensively about Gen Z, in fact, and how they do have trouble saving, or perhaps they carry debt. I think what I'm putting aside is the student debt side of it is one thing, but let's not forget that so many of the current Gen Zers are still living at home and have no plans to move out. So that is an expense that you can cut out from their daily, week, or monthly expenses, which is no shock to anyone really, that they're saving that rent, which they otherwise would be giving away. And if they're having these side hustles and side gigs, just the way your brother would be, example to that, I can I can visualize them being as the most saving, cohort of the current times. Of course, this comes at a cost, which is what brings us neatly into part 3, which is called financial anxiety. And yes, we touched on this briefly in the previous episode too, but I want to try and make sense of the anxiety. What we've observed so far for me is this fast pace at which Gen Z are both earning, spending, and saving. And so this begs the question of why are they operating the way they do? Right? I mean, what is the need? Whilst some of us may think that it's the fear of falling short of money, they have an added stressor, which is actually feeling like they may fall behind in the game of managing their money and not be able to lead the lifestyle that they crave. Let's not forget they are the we love our freedom generation, right? So there's a certain aspect in their mindset that goes with the choices they make in their lives. This brings also the aspect of the unpredictability of the changes in the job market, which even as millennials or Xers, we see it. The evolving industries, emerging technologies. This is all synonymous to Gen Z questioning whether their careers and their skills may become obsolete because of the fast pace that they're in. So this makes it clear why for them it's so important to look for innovative ways to save smartly, because they don't know whether tomorrow will be the same as today, you know? And I think many of them have questions like, will I be able to afford a home? Probably not now, because as we saw in data that came from the Psychology of Money episode, it used to take us, 8 years to pay off a home before, whereas
9 years, yeah.
9 years, and I think you would take a lifetime today to pay off a home.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one question. Will I be able to afford a home, or will I have to give up my freedom style of life for a more stable one? And obviously, these are trade offs we often think about, don't we, when we are craving financial stability. And so this brings us to the traditional saving schemes all over again. And perhaps the real future will lie in helping our very knowledgeable Gen Z, because they do have very vast amounts of education in financial literacy, but they need some guidance to forge their path moving forward. With the help of previous generations. And as you guys all know, this is how we truly mind the Gen Gap, by helping each other. And with that, we've come to the end of episode 26 of Mind the Gen Gap podcast. I've been your host, Goldie.
And I've been your co host, Lakshan. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and tuning in all the way to the very end.
Muchas gracias.
See you in the next one.
Hasta pronto.
Bye.